What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and it is Unearthed Arcana Day. That's right, we have new Unearthed Arcana, and it is 4 new races called Folk of the Feywild. This is interesting because they're using the term races, which is something we saw they were stopped using when they switched to the lineage system. And this, hey, maybe my original prediction that was very false with Van Richten's being announced that we were going to get a Feywild book. Maybe there's some credence to that, and we will still get something Feywild related later in the year. Before we dive into that, though, I did want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you do like these reviews and news coverage and all this stuff as soon as they're possibly, as fast as I can make them, consider subscribing to the channel and turning your notifications on, because I do try to keep things coming out fast and furious, so be on the lookout. And hey, it's all about family. I'd love you to be part of the Nerd Immersion family. Also, I'm giving away copies of Candlekeep Mysteries right now. Links in the description. So there'll be a link to this as well. This is Folk of the Feywild. I haven't read through this at all, so we're going to learn about this as we go. Now, it looks like it is going to be, they're using the term races, right? It says 4 new races, D&D races: Fairy, Hobgoblin of the Feywild, which is apparently different than the Hobgoblin from Volo's Guide to Monsters, Owlfolk, which is apparently different than Aarakocra, and rabbitfolk, right? Rabbitfolk is one that is pretty much new, and Fairy is one that people seem to be interested in. So, here we go. So we're going to have to read through this and take a look, but I was originally thinking, oh, looks like lineages went away completely, but if you notice, they kind of have broken it up a little bit. So it starts with creating your character. When you create your D&D character, you can decide whether they are a member of the human race or one of the game's fantastical races. If you choose a character using a race option presented here, follow the following rules. So this might be just kind of using the customizing your origin stuff rather than a lineage. So ability scores, it's going to give you +2, +1. So that's a pretty standard thing across the board. You get a +2 in one ability score, a +1 in another. That's what it says here. Or increase 3 different stats by 1, similar to the Triton, right? It has a +1 in 3 ability scores. And it says the quick build section for your character offers suggestions for what these scores could be. Whatever you decide to increase, they can't be raised beyond 20. Languages. You can speak, read, and write one or common and another language of your choice, and you or your DM can change that. And then creature type. Again, we're going over creature type. We did this with the last one with the Gothic Lineages, but every creature has a type. Here's a list of all the creature types: aberration, blah, 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 blah. These types don't have rules themselves, which is something that I've complained about, and I might make a separate video on. But some of the rules in game effect ways certain things are done, like Cure Wounds specifies that it doesn't work on a creature that has the construct typing. All right, and then it says design note, which is, I think, going to be an important part to get a little bit of the mindset here. The creating your character section provides special character creation rules for the race options in this article. The races that use these rules can coexist seamlessly with races that use other rules. For example, the race options in the player's handbook have built-in ability scores, while races in these articles don't. Race options from both sources can adventure together. If you'd like a race that doesn't appear in this article, such as an elf or a dwarf, to have similar ability score flexibility, the book Tasha's Cauldron of Everything provides a rule called Customizing Your Origin. That gives you flexibility. The book also gives you the option of building your own race building your own race rather than choosing an existing one. That option is called the custom lineage. No matter which option you choose for your character, a race in this article, a player's handbook race, a race modified by customizing your origin, or a custom lineage, you can adventure with characters who are built with the different options. This sidebar builds on the design note in our previous Unearthed Arcana Gothic Lineages. So I wonder if they're going to go away from the term lineage and just go back to using the term race. But what's interesting is they've already labeled lineages as things you can do for the Van Richten's guide, but those also they did seem like things you could acquire. So perhaps lineages will stay in that respect. Like you could contract vampirism, whereas you couldn't contract becoming a fairy, I guess. Maybe you could, but either way. Okay, the Feywild is home to many fantastical peoples, including fairies. Fairies are a wee folk, but not nearly as much as pixies or sprites. We have little fey characteristics for you can roll on the table or choose: shimmering multicolored skin, exceptionally large ears, you smell like fresh brownies. That's an interesting one. All right, so what happens? Creature type, you are Fey. Okay, not Fey and humanoid. You are 100% Fey. That means that things like Charm Person and Hold Person do not work on you, similar to Satyrs and Centaurs. You are small size, you have a 30-foot walking speed, and you have Fairy Flight. You have a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. This flight is magical and does not require the use of your wings. Okay, so the wings are purely, this is like you can fly regardless. Fairy magic, the druid craft and fairy fire spells. You can cast fairy fire without expending a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way. You can also use this ability, and then added this thing from Tasha's Cauldron that we love. You can cast this using any spell slots you have. Your spellcasting ability for these spells is your choice, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. And Fey Passage, you can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide. This is interesting. So it's a pretty light on the features because they're giving you flat out concentrationless flight with no need for wings. And it's equal to your movement speed, your walking speed, which is currently 30, but that means if you have means to increase your walking speed, this will go with it. Druid Craft is a great cantrip and it fits the theme very well. And then Fairy Fire, obviously you are a fairy. Who should have Fairy Fire if not the fairy? It is just once a long rest though, and you get to choose your spellcasting ability modifier, which is nice. And then I like this, you can squeeze through space as narrow as 1 inch wide, even though you are a small size creature. Okay, I'm a big fan, I like that. Hobgoblin of the Feywild. They trace their origins to the Feywild, where they appeared with their goblin and bugbear kin. This history has left its mark. For although hobgoblins are found throughout the material plane, they continue to channel an aspect of the Feywild's rule of reciprocity, which creates a mystical bond between the giver and the receiver of a gift. Okay, so this is more like a folktale hobgoblin rather than a D&D hobgoblin. You are humanoid, okay, so affected by things that affect humanoids. You are medium size. Your walking speed is 30 feet. You have dark vision out to 60 feet, pretty standard stuff. Advantage and Fey Ancestry advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the charm condition on yourself. Okay, so that's all pretty standard stuff. That's very elvish rather, in its nature so far. But then we have Fey Gift, which seems to be your new kind of ability here. You can use this trait to take the help action as a bonus action, and can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you get these back on a long rest. Starting at level 3, choose one of the following options each time you take the help action, whether as a bonus action or an action. So this means whether you're using the Fey Gift ability, which is limited as a bonus action, or just help action in general as a standard ability. Hospitality is one of the options. You and the target of your help action each gain a number of temporary hit points equal to a d6 plus your proficiency bonus. Passage, you and the target of your help action can increase their walking speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. Or Spite, until the start of your next turn. The first time you or the target of your help action hits a creature with an attack roll, that creature has disadvantage on the next attack roll that it makes within the next minute. And then lastly, Fortune from the Many. If you miss with an attack roll or fail an ability check or saving throw, you can draw on your bonds of reciprocity to gain a bonus to your roll equal to the number of allies you can see within 30 feet, a maximum of +5. And you can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This looks remarkably close from memory to the Hobgoblin's, I think it's called Saving Face ability, or something like that, where basically they do get this same thing, although I don't know if Hobgoblins got it proficiency bonus times per long rest, is it long rest? Per long rest. I think Hobgoblins got it short or long rest, but only once. So I like to see that there is sort of a still similarity there, but it's changed to be more fitting terminology-wise to this concept of this Feywild Hobgoblin. And I like this. This is something we haven't seen any before, this Fey Gift, where it changes the way you use a fundamental action. And I like that it gives you a little bit of a new thing, right? You can do help as a bonus action, even if you couldn't before. But these options here, Hospitality, Passage, and Spite, the things that alter your help action, those, as far as I can tell, you can do that all the time. I guess, well, it's hard to say. Let me ask you this, right? So Fey Gift says You can use this trait to take the help action as a bonus action and do so a number of times equal to your long rest, or proficiency bonus rather, get him back on a long rest. The way I read that is the ability to use the help action as a bonus action is proficiency bonus times per long rest, and these secondary options are whenever you use the help action. So you can constantly be giving people temporary hit points when you're using the help action, so your party can basically always have a d6 plus your proficiency bonus temporary hit points, because you can just use the help action as an action consistently all the time, and this will benefit from that. So I like that. That's an interesting new way to go about it. All right, owlfolk. So this is interesting. Again, Aarakocra, I've seen people flavor their Aarakocra to look like owls. This one is apparently completely different. Looks like they are the same in that they do have humanoid arms and legs, and they still have wings. Because of their ancestral tie to the Feywild, they can innately see the magic of their surroundings. So they are humanoid. They are medium or small. You get to make that choice for yourself. They have a walking speed of 30 feet. They have dark vision out to 90 feet, which is a number we've never seen dark vision before, right? So we've seen 60 and 120, but never 90. So that's a different change there. And then they have magic sight. Your keen senses, you can focus to see the presence of magic. You gain the ability to cast the detect magic spell, but only as a ritual. Your spellcasting ability for this is intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. And you could also cast this spell normally with any spell slots you have, right? So if you don't want to cast it as a ritual, you can just cast it as an action if you have spell slots. You have nimble flight. Thanks to your wings, you have a fly speed equal to your walking speed, which is again 30. When you fall, you can use your reaction to make a dexterity saving throw, DC 10, to stop falling and fly in place until the start of your next turn. And, which I really like thematically here, silent feathers, you have proficiency in the stealth skill. So I think owlfolk definitely beats out Aarakocra in every aspect in my mind as the clear bird race you would want to play. The fact that you also get to choose medium or small is kind of a nice feature, right? Because there's such variety in owls in the real world, right? That's pretty cool. Yeah, and I don't know if we've seen much in the way of this where like you just get a spell that you can cast only as a ritual, but all the time as a ritual, and then use your spell slots to cast it if need be. And this is also the first time we're seeing a flying race get this kind of reactionary saving throw to, not that we have a ton of flying races out there, but to take less damage. And lastly, your rabbitfolk, something completely new. So let's see, they're bipedal, the long feet of the animal they resemble for a variety of different colors. All right, so they are humanoid. They are medium or small, your choice. They have a walking speed of 30 feet. You add, oh, interesting, hair trigger, clever wizards. You add your proficiency bonus to your initiative rolls. That's something we haven't really seen before. You have proficiency in the perception skill. When you fail a dexterity saving throw, you can use your reaction to roll a d4 and add it to the result, potentially turning that failure into a success. And once during each of your turns, when you walk at least 5 feet, you can hop, rolling a d12 and moving that many feet in a direction of your choice. This extra distance doesn't cost movement, but you can only hop if your speed isn't 0. So once a turn, if you move 5 feet, roll a d12, and then you can move that many more feet in that given direction, so up to 12 feet more. Which is kind of a weird one, because like grids are designed for 5 feet, so like moving 7 feet is kind of weird, but whatever. This extra distance doesn't cost any movement though, so it's just for free, and you can hop only if you don't have your speed isn't 0. So that's, I guess, means as long as you're not grappled or have something else going on. So, I mean, I feel like the amount of rabbitfolk rogues just increased, right? The fact that you're going to get perception for free, you can choose your size, you're going to get to go first a lot in combat, which can benefit a lot of different rogue subclasses. And, on the very rare chance that you fail a dexterity saving throw as a rogue, you could now, if you wanted to, use re-roll it or add a d4 to it and hope for the best. But again, maybe this would be more beneficial for something. Maybe you could be a rabbitfolk. You'd be a rabbitfolk barbarian. That would also be pretty interesting. Get that rage off in the first couple turns. Because remember, the ability scores for these races are basically you choose +2, +1, or +1 to 3 different stats. So there's no reason you couldn't be a strength-based rabbit folk, or you obviously could be an intelligence and wisdom-based rabbit folk, which I like the customizability. I know that's not for everybody, but I enjoy it. But yeah, this was kind of not what I was actually... Yeah, I was going to say, this is not really what I was expecting. I didn't know where we were going to go, right? We did subclasses part 4, which was the spooky ones. We did the dragon ones, which I'm still convinced are coming out in the Dragonlance book, which I am still convinced is coming out this year. And then we got the Gothic Lineages Unearthed Arcana, which we know are coming in coming in Candlekeep. Or not Candlekeep, coming in, sorry, in Van Richten's. But that was the shortest turnaround I think we've seen, where something shows up in Unearthed Arcana and then we know it's coming out in a book. That was confirmed that is the shortest turnaround we've seen of an Unearthed Arcana going from playtest to published. So now I'm kind of thinking maybe the Feywild, if this is going to follow the same suit, that we might be getting a Feywild book sooner rather than later, because we got these Feywild races and they might show up in the Feywild book. And then I am still convinced that we're going to get Dragonlance at some point this year with the dragon subclasses in it. But yeah, this is, I mean, I'm excited. I love options. And, you know, everybody's, from what I've seen in my comments on the videos, people have been clamoring for a Feywild based, you know, supplement, whether it's got rules for Feywild, whether it's like a planar guide or something like that. I guess I didn't turn off my YouTube notifications, but either way, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm very excited to see what this means for us in the future of D&D 5e. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you next time.